Hello, today we are going to be taking a look at the reference angles. Now reference angles are any angles in the first quadrant that produce the same triangle that you would get if you dropped an altitude from your radius up to or down to the x-axis, as you saw in the animation in the beginning of this video. Now, before we take a look at some examples, it is important for us to understand some of the basic concepts behind this, because I am going to be referring to these but not looking at them specifically later on. Now, the first thing we need to know is the number of degrees and or radians that exist within each of the quadrants, because depending on where our radius is, we are going to be using different rules to find the reference angles. So if we are in quadrant 1, we will use one rule, versus if we are in the other quadrants 2, 3, or 4, we will use a different rule. Those rules you can see on the right hand side of the screen. Okay, so let us take a look at some examples. So for each of the following, we are going to try and find the reference angles. Our first example here is 200 degrees. Now 200 degrees is in quadrant 3. This means that we must use the rule theta minus 180 degrees. So we are going to take our angle 200 and subtract 180 degrees from that, and that will give us our reference angle of 20 degrees. Our next example is 600 degrees. Now note that this is beyond the 360 degree range that we have if we are going to use our rules. So to start, we must find a coterminal angle that exists within that range. So to do that, we are going to subtract 360 degrees, which means that we are actually going to be looking at the angle 240 degrees, which is in the third quadrant. Once again, this means that we are going to do our angle minus 180 degrees. So we will do 240 minus 180, and our reference angle is 60 degrees. And now let us take a look at an angle that is in radians. So this time we will have 7 pi over 4. This does exist within our 0 to 2 pi range, and it happens to be in quarter 4 because 7 pi over 4 is just a little bit less than 2 pi. The rule we use is going to be 2 pi minus our angle theta, so we will do 2 pi minus 7 pi over 4. And when you do that, you are going to get pi over 4. Still the same rules, still the same outcome. Now we have one more. This is going to be a negative angle, and that is okay. This time our angle exists outside of our range, but it is before. So instead of subtracting 2 pi, we are going to add 2 pi to our angle, and that is going to give us 3 pi over 4. Now this angle 3 pi over 4, this happens to be in quadrant number 2. So this time our rule is going to be pi minus our angle theta. So we will do pi minus 3 pi over 4. Coincidentally, this happens to be, it is pi over 4 again, yeah? Alright. And that, my friends, is how you find the reference angles. Now, reference angles are going to be very helpful to us in dealing with trig problems and solving them without a calculator. Now, wouldn't that be wonderful? In any case, if you wish to be very good at this, you must learn the stuff from the beginning of this video, our 2 tables. If you learn those, then the rest of this is very easy. It is all very straightforward. Okay? So thank you once again for stopping by, and we will see you next time. Auf Wiedersehen.